Hi, everybody. Welcome back. So this is part two. If you haven't checked out part one, please do check it out. I'll link it above. And today we are with Wahida, and we are going to talk all about clinical research, what it means to be a clinical research project manager. And in our last video, we talked all about her education and how she got to this position. So check that out before you come to this video. So now you said you work with project management, right? What responsibilities do you have in that role?
In my current role, I would say I provide services in clinical research focused on biobank samples, and what it means that I'm involved in both the regulatory project management and operational, which also includes like strategic planning and risk management. And maybe you wonder like what biobank samples is. A biobank is a collection of samples. We have blood, urine, organs, tissue, etc., and health information. And biobanks, we actually talked about it a little bit during the part one,
Mhm.
and it's very important for research and help people and understand why people are developing a certain illness and others not. And biobank research is strictly in clinical research. It's like a clinical research. It's strictly regulated by ethical committees and donors' consent. So if I tell you more in detailed version, like what regulatory project management is, it's that I assist researcher with regulatory guidelines in governing clinical research and reviewing the ethical and regular documents that needs to be submitted to authorities such as ERB, Institutional Review Board. And this is the first part, which is in the beginning that we have to plan a clinical research project. Once you have like approval, or also you can start with the operational project management. Uh, Means that I assist researcher to set up multi-center studies with several sites in Sweden, which means actually that designing the biobanking sampling protocol, which needs to have the timely sample handling, processing, we have the logistics, and we have to like transport them to the closest biobank and retrieval when conducting analysis and so on. And it all requires risk management plan sometime, especially when we are implementing a new process that we've been not working on before. And during this whole time, I have to make sure that the deliveries are made on time, within the budget, and in compliance with the quality and ISO standards.
Okay.
So these are like the operation, these are the study part that I'm involved in. So it's always like interacting with internal and external clients, but I'm
Mhm.
also involved like in other strategic projects. That means that we have to developing and implementing local and regional workflow, which fits in a tight manner with the national coordinated biobank services, because we want to harmonize the biobank activity in Sweden. And also like creating other projects that creating networking opportunities, such as arranging conferences, and also offer researcher opportunities to conduct research on COVID-19. For example, one of my projects is that I'm involved in by doing the inventory work at the national level and creating a COVID-19 sample collection, which is an open database in Sweden, and a wonderful access you will get. And hopefully we will understand and get more information about coronavirus, and so we can be over of
Yeah.
this pandemic. So yeah, and like all the while doing the foresight activities such as transporting, seeing what's happening in our field. So that's, if I could summarize what I am doing. So
Okay. Well, that sounds really important. So what I get from what you're saying is that Biobank deals with biological sample, and external and internal clients, they reach out to you and to make sure that their project is sound and it's abiding by the guidelines,
Yeah, and
everything. Yeah.
yeah, and setting up it. So we have this, whole clinical project set up and get the sample. We have to get into the database so they can get the sampling and handling and electrocuting with the robots. If we go into the details,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's both. Clinical research is governed by laws. We have so many laws.
Yeah.
So it's just not to start a research project. You have to write documents that submitted to different authorities. For example, you submit to, if it's a drug involved or a medical product, or I mean, yeah, if it's a drug involved, then you have to apply also to the medical product agency and the ethical committees because of the ethic aspect, if it's ethical to conduct the trial or not. And we have the patient informed consent as well.
Yeah.
So, and while the whole time you have to see that the Biobank Act is followed by the researcher. So this is the regulatory, and then you have to like set up. It's more practical. How will the sampling happen? How will it like flow? All the flow and the practical. Because once like, okay, I have like approval, then it's like, well, let's start.
Okay.
So
That's all, you have a lot of responsibility. So just to like, so I fully understand, our viewers also understand, is let's say you have a research group, there's a PhD, and they're interested in studying anything, like any disease, and they require sample, urine sample. So they will come to Biobank, propose their idea, and then you would be responsible in overseeing what their plan is and how they can get approved. Is that true?
yeah, yeah. This is like, there's two things actually. There's one that you will plan to collect samples. There's one, and they will come because we will plan from the start to the end. But then it can happen that in one research project they will come and say, I want to get access to samples. So there's two things we call, now we are getting in details, we call a newly sample collection and existing sample collection. And in order to get existing sample collection, some projects they have like both the newly sample collection that they will be collecting during the project, and then they want to confirm their theory, they need to go back to the sample that's been collected. And these need a specific, you have to, that's very, complicated. This, you need to add it, the existing, you need to actually add it in the ethical document. Describe your project that in this project we will be collecting this sample and I will be helping them with that. And we will be also, we want to get access to the previous samples that being collected in order to get our answer. And then they need also different type of biobank application that needs to be used. So it's like,
it's very complicated.
It's very complicated, but we do have like, these are both scenario are just going back to existing. So they need a different type of, you have to explain that in your ethical document, and I will help them with the ethical documents or legal documents.
Right.
And take it from there. Okay. And also with setup if it's required.
Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, there's like, obviously it's you're conducting worldwide research, so it is going to be complicated, but in its core, you're helping the researcher get to the final goal, which is to publish research. Yeah. And that's getting approved, whether that's getting sample, you're responsible to make sure that it gets done, right?
Yeah, and I will be the one, we are providing services, so this is a service that I will provide. And yeah, it's a consulting kind of, we can say, will help because I also charge for that. Or not, I can say I charge for that. Even though my role is funded by Swedish Research Council, or should I say my biobanks, does charge instead of saying that I'm charging, because I'm 2 years ago, I have been a project manager for 2 years in this role. And for 2 years ago, they want to increase clinical research in Sweden. And it's very tough. We have a lot of laws, and the process is very, it's tough. So what they did, they employed 7 project manager in Sweden and we got a lot of grants from Swedish Research Council.
Right.
And I'm one of the 7 project manager, and I represent my node. So my job is to facilitate research and make it easy. And then of course we have the services, the operational services, it does cost, and my biobank takes, because I cannot say that I'm taking because I'm external.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, even when you're talking about it, it sounds so complicated. So it's good that Sweden, they recognize that it was a problem for just researchers to go through that process. So that's really good. So you said that you have organized conferences. What kind of conferences do you plan for?
Yeah, I have been mainly involved in national conferences, and also now planning for a Nordic conference, and that's in the field of biobanking clinical research. But I've also been involved in regional conferences that's been focused on all aspects of clinical research, and that's what we didn't actually had a conference in biobanking nationally. We were the first one to start, and we had second national conference, and then during the second national conference, we were sitting, and the head of department, like Wahida, and my other colleagues were sitting there. What do you think of taking and arranging a Nordic conference? I was like, okay. So we've been, now I'm working with a Nordic biobanking conference where I'm involved in the lead operational committee, and I'm also the chairperson of the scientific abstract committee, as well as the exhibition and sponsor committee, and also team member in the marketing. I'm always all everywhere. That's a typical. If you will ask, I'm I love to know and gain more experience. And I love helping other people. That's because reading every day, knowing that I make a difference, makes me happy, and that's how I.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I get happiness, if I say.
Right. And so these conferences, are they networking opportunities, or an opportunity for companies to kind of exchange whatever they're doing in the current time? Okay, so that's really cool. And can you tell us about one specific clinical study that you were part of and something that you found super interesting?
I said I'm involved in many studies, but if I would say one particular one, then it would be COOP study, which is a national Swedish COVID-19 and pregnancy study. The study is investigating how pregnancy and fetal development are affected by COVID-19, and they want to know what happens to the health of mother and child after the delivery. I would say the national PI is Verena Simple. So I'm helping them with my services, just to be clarify this. And it was why I'm actually talking about this. This was my first COVID study, and I remember I got it last year, in the March, I think I got it, and it got also a lot of media coverage. And as I said, it required a lot of work. While some biobanks in other countries were shutting down because of this pandemic, especially in the beginning, we had to set up here in Sweden our first. And it was just not to actually start with the research project. I had to conduct a risk assessment for all the sample types that was included here, because we didn't know the viral load. And literally, there was not so much information. So I had to look at a similar coronavirus, other family members, who I would say this. So we didn't have a lot of info on coronavirus. We had to put a lot of work, and there's still new issues and tasks every day. We've been able in Sweden to actually act very fast and coordinate the study across the Sweden. And I would say that's thanks to my network via Biobank Sweden. It wouldn't be possible, because we really acted very fast, but we had to do the risk assessment. It was just not to start like we do with other studies. We have to see the viral load, and because we have to think about the safety of personnel. If the
Mm.
viral load, for example, respiratory material got a higher viral load, we cannot process them in lab that's not classified as with a higher classification. So that's one
That's
study that I won't forget.
yeah.
Yeah,
And they were working with pregnant women and kids, and those are
yeah.
very, I would say, like, I've heard that it's hard to do research with pregnant women and
Mm,
kids, so that must have been a very sensitive project, right? And
yeah.
so was it like what happens after infection to the mother and the child, or what was the question they were trying to explore in that research?
They were following, there is two arms, we call it. There's one that's with COVID-19, and the other is a control group that is healthy woman. So we will be following them through their pregnancy
Mhm.
and their delivery. There will be two arms that we will be following. They have different sampling protocol
Right.
time. We will be following them through their pregnancy and after the child is born.
Mhm.
So
And
up
are
to
the
like I think
research,
it's
is it
two.
published yet?
No, no, no. There's we have not, or the researcher have not conducted any analysis yet, and that's due to because the lab they don't have so much. They don't have time because they have a lot of like other COVID studies.
Okay.
So, and in clinical study, mainly you want to send samples for analysis batch-wise in batches and send it to a central lab in order to minimize bias and so on. So
Right.
they're waiting to collect all the sample and then send it and also find actually a lab that can take this sample. It's a very good study.
Wow, that's exciting. So I guess when it comes out, we can
Yeah.
read it and see what the results were. Okay, so just give me a second. And now, what is your favorite part about your job?
I think I would say the variety and the opportunities are outstanding.
Mhm.
I'm involved in so many different projects, both like clinical studies and also other strategic projects that makes that I'm really happy to be doing what I'm doing and no day is like another day. And as I said, like waking every day knowing that in long term I will be improving healthcare by providing services the benefits researcher that's conducting clinical trial, it makes me happy. I just told you previously that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get happy to help others.
Mhm.
And today's research is, as I said, tomorrow's healthcare. So that's why I was like, that's my favorite part, and that's why I love my job, and I'm so passionate
That's
about it.
amazing. That's really cool. Like having that direct impact, like knowing that a few years
Mm,
down the line, this will be the
mm,
norm and people will be using these applications.
yeah,
That's
that's
really
true.
amazing.
Mm.
And so, what is your least favorite part of your job? There must be something.
Yeah, I mean, if working from home is,
Yeah.
I'm not. It means many virtual
Mhm.
meetings. I miss being at my office and having, face-to-face communication
Yeah.
and solve an issue over coffee in a corridor.
Yeah.
Now I have to like merge my calendar with others in order to find a slot, and it totally kills the creativity.
Right.
But there are like pros from
Yeah.
working from home, and we are more open to have this type of meetings and
Mhm.
seeing new people.
Right.
So we do have like pros as well working with from home.
Yeah. No, working from home, like I'm also working from home nowadays, and I like the fact that I don't have to spend time commuting in the bus,
Mm,
whatever, but at the same time, there's something about physical interaction
mm,
that's just not
yeah,
the same
yeah,
through a screen.
I
But
totally miss that. I'm like, can I just see people?
yeah, I know, I
So,
know.
yeah,
But I'm so glad that we were able to connect and to think that you're all the way in Sweden, I'm in Canada.
mhm,
We've never met before. We don't have any
yeah,
mutual contacts. And we
no,
were able to connect through Instagram and like the
mm,
rest is history. So I'm so glad, because of technology, we were able to have this
yeah.
conversation.
So that's pro because otherwise we wouldn't be so safe in having the virtual meeting. Even though I had because I had such a type of job that I cannot be traveling. Even though I did travel a lot.
Mhm.
But now I'm like, I was like wondering, wow, like. previously I had to like travel for 2 hours meeting, and like the whole day was focused on that project.
Right.
Now I'm having meetings after meetings, and like so many. I'm not thinking about how effective I have been. That's I
Yeah.
don't know how many studies I already set up, and that's because we get more time.
It's more efficient. Okay,
Yes.
so now the next question is, so now that you're a project manager, what are some of the skills or maybe even personality trait that you had to improve on in your journey to become a better clinical project manager?
I would say to trust my abilities and be more confident. I know more than I think I know, and it's okay to not know everything as well.
Yeah.
And it's okay to totally say to someone, I'm sorry, I don't know. Let me get back to you on that. It took me a lot of time, and my
Right.
head of department is always saying, Wahida, you know a lot more than you think. So
Mm-hmm.
be just confident. You're gonna make it, and that's very
Right.
important also to have a good leader and be surrounded by people that will support you. That's
Mm-hmm.
another thing. Workplace and your boss got a lot of roles in your
Mm-hmm.
career, and in order for you to be successful, that's another thing. So I would like to add.
Yeah. It's really important to have supportive bosses or managers,
Yeah,
supervisors,
yeah.
because they determine your work environment. And if they are toxic, if they put you down, then there's no room for growth. And you're right about confidence. I mean, I feel like I personally am trying to implement that too. Confidence is everything. It's how you deliver the information. And what are like some things that you did to like boost your confidence? Like, was there something you did, or was it the mindset
Actually,
shift?
I would say that my fitness journey
Mhm.
helped me a lot with gaining confidence. I was the person that actually wouldn't go and talk, couldn't have like whole speech. But my fitness journey learned me a lot about myself. The transformation that I made is like, first of all, it's very important to be consistent and determined and
Mhm.
disciplined. These three things that I learned. And for me, there's two quotes that I live by. You have to fake it until you make it. I was not confident. I have to
Yeah.
like, that, oh, I'm so confident. You have to believe in
Right.
yourself. I had to start believing
Mhm.
uh, in myself. And that's something that also my fitness journey helped me.
Okay.
Because I knew that I could hit the gym. I had very bad grades. Like the only thing that I actually had a bad grades on was like my gym or exercising. We had exercise as a course in school, which was mandatory. So I didn't have good grades. And when I hit the gym, I was like, okay, I can do this. So
Mhm.
that's what helped me with confidence as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
And also, another quote is there is that the confidence doesn't come from always being right. It's from not fearing to be wrong. I think there's something like that.
Mhm.
And I need to have a positive mindset. That's what I also did because your mind believes what you tell it. So I started telling them I'm beautiful, I'm good, I'm
Yeah.
smart. And you have to tell
Yeah.
yourself. If you're not
Of
believing yourself,
course.
how will someone else like trust you and believe you? If you have self doubt, how will you like?
Yeah. If you treat yourself like
Mm,
so bad, how do you expect someone else to do that? We'll
mm,
talk more about your fitness journey in the
yeah,
third part, but
mm,
this is very interesting stuff, and I would love
mm,
to hear more about how you went and improved upon your both physical but mental health
mm.
mostly. But I was looking over your work experience, and there was something about artificial intelligence, AI. So, through your work, what are your thoughts on AI just in general?
Well, first of all, maybe like we should clarify what AI is. Maybe not
Mhm.
everyone know what AI is. Actually, I had a
Yeah.
talk with someone last week, and I was like, AI, do you know? I was like, no, I don't know. I was like, okay, so we will take
Yeah.
it from there. Maybe not everyone's familiar with that.
Right.
AI is just a short way. AI is intelligence demonstrated by machines, and often revolves around the use of algorithms.
Mhm.
And AI is not actually one technology, and it's been available since 1960 or 1955, I think. But it's rather a collection of them, and we have machine learning, neural network, and deep learning. So, but going back to just having this general definition and knowing that AI is actually not very new. Actually, I learned that during my course that AI is not new. I was like, wow, I didn't know that. I thought it was something new.
Yeah, and from the
Why
60s.
everyone? Yeah, so we had it like in 1955 or 1960, they said.
Mhm.
But let's go to the healthcare. If you say how AI can, what type of impact have it
Mhm.
in healthcare and opportunities. The complexity and the rise of data within healthcare means that AI will increasingly be applied in this field, and AI will, I think, transform healthcare and help with decision making and online consultation. A lot of research has shown that AI can perform healthcare tasks better than humans, such as diagnosing disease. So I think it's going to be an amazing tool that will facilitate and promote early detection and disease prevention,
Right.
and also help clinicians take more comprehensive approach for disease management and better coordinate care plans. But we do have also challenges there. Staff doesn't know
Mhm.
what AI means, and we have AI ethics to consider.
Right.
I saw an article that AI can, or yeah, I had a course, I think, or a seminar last Tuesday I had, and the presenter showed one article that was like AI can predict if we will die soon, but we don't have any idea how it works. Many people don't know how AI works, and it's hard to explain to patient how
Mhm.
image can tell you that you have a cancer. So there is something. It's with AI we can solve a lot of things. We can be effective, but there are certain challenges that needs to be solved,
Right.
and we have the AI ethics to consider. And there is actually a publication on that, how to uh, over AI ethics and overview. So if someone is interested, can look at that article.
And do you think that AI will replace healthcare workers like physicians, nurses?
Not That's something that people actually are afraid of, that they will replace healthcare staff, and that's not going to happen. We still need healthcare people, but they will be doing the right thing.
Right.
It will facilitate them with decision making. It will not replace them. That's something that needs to be communicated to healthcare staff
Mhm.
and explained. As I told you, I spoke to a person last week or this week, yeah, I don't remember exactly, but and I was like, AI. I don't think the person was in the healthcare and was like, what is AI? I was like, I thought
Right.
everyone knew AI, but that's not the case, and that's where we need to educate healthcare staff and also raise that topics that AI will not replace
Mhm.
human beings. Instead, it will facilitate with decision making and will make it easier.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And medicine in general, there's a human side of things that I don't
Mm,
think AI can replace. And
mm,
whenever I think about really good physicians, like I've visited, let's say, two physicians, the one that's really helpful is the one that takes time to listen to me
mm.
and practice empathy. And I don't think that a machine can
No,
replicate that
yeah, and that's the difference between a machine and
human being.
clinician and
Yeah.
human being, that they don't have the emotion. There's it's intelligence shown by machine, no emotions, and then we do have the biases in the algorithm. So we do. That's also another issue to tackle with. So
Mhm.
that's what we do need, and that's something that's very important for us to communicate to the
Right.
healthcare staff, and because we know the problem, we know that they are scared. That's what it makes it difficult to implement. And if we tackle that problem, we know and we educate them that this is not going to replace you. It will be much better, and they will be more positive, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, you will always need human beings
Mm,
like physicians, clinicians to act as the intermediate
mm,
link between the AI and the
mm,
patient because the patient obviously would not have the technical information about the
mm,
machines, right?
mm.
Okay, wow, that was super interesting. And so we celebrated. So I wrote these questions a bit earlier, but we celebrated Women's Day recently. And do you think there's a barrier facing women that want to get involved with clinical research or in any healthcare research career? Like any barriers faced by women?
Mm. I think it's a very hard question and totally depends where in the world we
Mm-hmm.
are. Sweden has come long in terms of gender equality. At my workplace, I'm surrounded by female co-workers. I think
Okay.
80% of them are like females. But generally, I believe women are still facing some hardship. It takes longer for a woman to obtain a senior level of leadership position, and there's been studies that shows female health researchers getting less grant funding than their male counterparts. But I won't say that I have specifically discovered it or have been truth that I've been a woman and it's been tough for me. But no, but I have heard that there are certain issues
Yeah.
that women do face.
And sadly, like some people do have the perception that males are more competent, whether that is,
Mm,
I want a
mm,
male physician, I want a male
mm,
researcher. It's just, and at times you might even not know you have those
mm,
misogynistic thoughts,
mm, mm,
but they're so internalized that
mm,
it's more of a
mm,
subconscious thing that you just generally
mm,
think males are more competent. But I'm
mm.
really glad that Sweden and you majority of your coworkers are female, so that's amazing. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I guess this is
Mm,
the end
mm,
of part two. I hope you all learned something about being a clinical project manager in Sweden, and hopefully this also extends to North America because I think it's very similar, the educational structure. But we're gonna do part three now, and the next discussion is more about a personal life, discussions around self-esteem. So please do check out part three, and thank you so much for listening.